welcome to our memory box.
Bienvenue à notre boîte à souvenirs.
Today we're going to talk about something that I even remember.
Ooh.
Not that I'm that young. It has to do with railroad days, which were celebrations every summer down on Main Street.
D'accord, oui, c'était une fête tous les années.
Blocked off the street. That was the time of year that we would paint the murals in the subway. Schools would be given a panel and we'd paint murals and things like that.
Ok, d'accord, les gens étaient créatifs là, dans le subway.
C'était le subway rose à
Oui,
ce temps-là.
rose encore.
Oui, oui.
Là,
Yeah.
jeter des peintures.
Yeah, so that's the pink subway in my childhood. But what many of you have actually commented on before and probably remember was this train that would show up and tracks would be laid and rides would be given on an actual working scale model steam engine.
Un vrai de vrai moteur à vapeur qui fonctionnait. Puis c'est un modèle réduit.
That's right, and from what we've heard, it's at least 95 or higher % accurate in terms of scale model, so very well done.
Puis c'est quoi, c'est 3 pouces pour un pied?
Something around that, yeah, 3 inches to a foot, I think is what the scale is, yeah. So the story really we're going to talk about today is this train, but also the person behind it. A friend of the museum passed away in the 2000s, the early 2000s, Reggie Ward.
Reggie
Yeah.
Ward,
Yeah.
oui, j'ai entendu des histoires de ce personnage.
So a Louisville person, that's where his shop was, his 2-story shop, and we have some video in the interactive that goes with this. That shop was crazy. I got to see that shop.
Son atelier, j'ai entendu dire que c'était impressionnant. Là.
2 stories.
Beaucoup d'équipements là dans 2 étages.
And it was all belt driven.
D'accord, fait qu'un mécanisme à, comment dire, belt.
Come on, I don't know what you call
Ceinture, ouais,
it,
je
rebound
pense.
of some kind.
Un
Yeah,
ruban,
yeah.
ouais.
But if he was running one machine, to make another machine run, he would flip these levers and move that moving belt over to the other machine, and they'd be flapping. And
C'était le même système pour tous ces outils.
that's right. And he had some on the second floor as well. So they actually went up from the engine to the second floor, through the floor, and came back down. So you're watching this thing go, and these belts are flapping. I don't know how he had all of his limbs. I don't know how.
Quelque chose comme tes cheveux, il fallait attacher les
Yeah,
cheveux.
yeah.
Fallait-
He didn't have long hair. Always worked out. Almost all the pictures we have, if he wasn't doing something formal, in a muscle shirt and shorts, and he was always doing weights. Wasn't tall, but muscular.
Tall,
Yeah.
ouais.
So a carman for CN,
D'accord.
for the train.
Un wagonnier pour CN.
Wagonnier, yeah.
De travailler proche de 40 ans, je pense, 38 ans.
Long time, yeah, almost 40 years, yeah. And while he was there, invented tools, processes, ways of doing things, very ingenious, inventive kind of guy, which is how we end up with this. He built his first little wooden working steam engine when he was 10 years old.
Quand il avait 10 ans,
Yeah.
ça fonctionnait, là, c'est un
Yeah,
moteur à
he
vapeur.
was steam shovels and stuff as a teenager, and remade Model T Fords and things.
Fait que sa passion a commencé très très jeune. Là. Il avait 10
From the
ans.
very beginning. We have some sketches that he did as a kid. I think maybe 6 years old, where he's drawing engines and stuff. So, yeah. So he builds this over a long period of time.
Des années, je pense.
Yeah, about a decade.
Ah, je pensais que ça a juste pris 4 ans, peut-être pas.
For the engine itself, but then he's building everything else,
Okay.
right? So there are several pieces to it. We didn't have enough room for the whole thing, so one of the pieces is actually a display table in our
Dans
gift
la
shop.
boutique,
Dans
oui,
la boutique,
oui,
yeah.
c'est vrai, c'est la même, mais on dirait que ça va avec le train. Là.
So his friend Pierre Babineau, good friend of the museum and a good resource for railway-related things, knew that we were going to do something with this. So he actually took the engine part, brought it to his shop, stripped it to bare metal, redid it, converted Reg's seat into an actual pole tender, and knowing that it wasn't going to be used for moving kids around, and
Ça a
really.
changé de fonction. Là. Là, c'était comme, OK, on va donner ça au musée, mais on va attendre, on va faire des choses pour que ce soit plus prêt pour être en montre.
That's right. Yeah. He was very good friends with Brenda Orr, our past director, and she remembers driving in a Model T, going looking at old mines and things like that. So they were close friends. They were very good friends.
C'est spécial.
So he left this to us. He willed this to the museum. At the time, we didn't know we were building an extra museum. Maybe there was talk of a railway museum.
Oui, je m'en souviens. C'est devenu la passerelle Sogo, on parle de plus que juste les chemins à faire.
That's right. So this was all stored in the Op Center, the City of Moncton's Op Center yard in transport trailers for years.
Pour des années.
Years, yeah.
Okay.
From the 2000s up until when we brought it out of storage to start building this.
Parce qu'on avait, c'est certainement qu'il n'y avait pas assez de place pour quelque chose comme ça, juste à l'ancien musée de Moncton. Ça a pris l'expansion de la passerelle Sogo pour l'avoir.
Yes, and it took the architect, the late Raven Spanier, working with Brenda to find a way to make this part of the new museum. Being transportation related, we end up with this fantastic permanent display. It fell upon me to bring it in and to make it fit. They built it, but I lost some sleep.
Comment tu rentres ça dans le musée avec une porte?
There's a special door behind that panel.
Ok, ça est caché là.
Yeah, it's behind a panel. But we had to devise a way to get this stuff onto flatbeds, get the flatbeds here at the same level so it can be rolled out onto other track.
Puis c'était tout ensemble ou c'était
No,
séparé au moins?
tout séparé, all different pieces. And had to raise it this high onto this platform and then roll it piece by piece. We actually have some time-lapse footage of that whole thing, so we're going to put a link to that. That's pretty cool.
C'est sur le YouTube channel.
Yes, yeah. So what ended up happening is the first thing to go in was the thing that people think is the caboose, and they wonder why it's not red.
Ouais, comme habituellement, ils sont rouges, là, mais ça n'a pas l'air d'un caboose.
Because it's really not. People are like, why is the caboose green? It's represented. That's it. It's a passenger and baggage car, not really exclusively the caboose. Because the scale and what he was trying to represent wasn't a large-scale railway system. It was smaller, more localized. They didn't have that traditional caboose. That's right. So it's not like he didn't build one. That's actually accurate for.
Historiquement.
That's right. Yeah.
Fait que ça, là, c'est un modèle de l'engin ou d'un train, de locomotive à vapeur Baldwin.
Oui.
Fait que lui, c'est vraiment référé sur des photos, des dessins, puis ses connaissances, parce qu'il était quand même très calé dans le sujet pour représenter ce style d'engin-là. Apparemment, il était utilisé en Nouvelle-Écosse.
Yep, in mines and things like that, so smaller scale, yeah.
Ouais, c'est fun ça. Puis il a tout créé chaque morceau, là, pièce par pièce.
Everything. We even have the wooden forms that he would press into the sand to make the molds where he forged the wheels.
Oh, il a utilisé la technique ancienne là, avec du sang.
Oh yes, yeah.
Okay.
And there's letters on there talking about he knew where the wheels would have been made, so he actually glued letters that looked like they were from little plastic letters, I think, yeah, that would have looked like the wheels were from where actual trains would have gotten their wheels, and used that to imprint. So there's actually the name of a company on there, but he did that himself. So the detail is incredible, and the way it worked was incredible. It was a real working steam engine that he used to take people around. Oh yes, yeah, and James Upham remembers getting on the train and going around. Victoria Park, places like that he would go. So it's really, really cool. We have lots of information. There was a video article done for CTV or ATV at the time. He and Pierre Babineau both are in it. You watch it go around in the backyard of Reg's house and the steam bellowing. Oh yeah.
C'est vraiment spécial. C'est un de mes objets préférés, puis je trouve que c'est dans un bel espace en plus. Ça prend beaucoup de place là, fait que c'est sûr qu'il fallait un espace très ouvert.
And it's heavy too. It's reinforced under here. The first pieces that went in, we jacked it up. We actually bought a hydraulic forklift, like a little movable, like a manual lift. It's rated for 2,200 pounds of capacity that it can lift. Everything, brought it up, didn't even have to put blocks. They rolled right on, we put the brakes on. Oh, we were so happy. We whizzed through all that. then it was time for this, and Pierre showed up just before we got to this part. He wanted to help supervise a little bit.
OK, juste pour assurer que tout allait bien.
Yeah, and he saw the rating on our hydraulic lift, and he went, well, I don't... I said, Pierre, it's 2,200 pounds. He goes, yeah, you're going to be pushing it with that. Just the engine part. Well, I can tell you, when I started to pull, the forks were moving, but it wasn't.
Oh.
It was almost bent before it started to lift. So we brought it up a bit, put some cribbing underneath it, let it rest, pulled up, so we actually had to block it up to get to level, put a spanning piece, and then rolled it on.
Ça fait du sens, c'est du fer forgé, c'est comme des gros morceaux. Ça paraît pas si pesant que ça, mais comme ce qu'ils pensent.
Well, just the tank itself is under pressure, right? It's steam pressure, so you need a tank that's safe to build up steam pressure, right? So it can't just be aluminum; it has to be, you know, a steel engine. So yeah, that is a heavy piece of machinery, but it worked like a charm, and the bell still rings. And
Fait la cloche.
yes, everything. We have the mold for the bell as well.
Fait la cloche.
He built everything, yeah.
Wow.
So a really important person from a railway point of view, an important person community-wise for the city of Moncton.
Un ami du musée.
A friend of the museum. This isn't the only thing that he kind of helped the museum find or source or things. He was a fantastic resource.
Wow.
So it's awesome that we can honor him. And on the wall on the outside, Pierre Babineau didn't know, we didn't tell him, but one of the main pictures that's sort of blended is Pierre and Reggie at CN together, young Pierre and a little bit older Reggie. And Pierre came in one day and I got a picture. I said that, and it said, I met an old friend today. And he's shaking hands with himself in the picture. He put his hand to let me know that he came to visit and that he actually saw it. It was a surprise. Yeah. So it's great to have those kinds of friends. Pierre's the same thing. He's a good resource for the museum. So yeah, if you guys remember railroad days, remember the mascot, there was paraphernalia, there were hats and pins and all kinds of stuff. Share.
Des photos, des peintures qu'ils faisaient dans le subway, ce serait beau à voir aussi.
If you guys remember being in school and being part of a class that painted one of those, the themes were always different. I remember doing one that was a giant tooth and toothbrush. It was for dental care, taking good oral hygiene. I don't know what. Yeah. So if you guys remember those paintings, let us know. If you remember being on the train and that smoke, the steam billowing out of that, write about us. Write to us. Let us know. And if you happen to have anything that they used to sell or give away, take a picture. Let us know that you have it. But railroad days were a big part of the summer in Moncton for a long time.
Bon ben voilà, un beau salut à notre ami Reggie Ward et on se verra la prochaine fois.
Bye.